Good afternoon and welcome to the After Work Cook. Today I am making Louisiana style Etourfee, and I'm not using crawfish because it's hard to come by in Utah, plus my husband doesn't really like it that well, so I'm using fresh shrimp. I've got to take the tails off, and raw because if you get it when they're cooked they get rubbery, and then Cajun style, and I'm going to say this wrong, andouille, I'm not sure how you say that, smoked sausage. And so we'll be using all of these spices, some Creole seasoning, and then it will all be over rice when I'm done. I'm going to let it simmer probably about an hour, and then I'll cook the rice and then we'll serve it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just start chopping up everything. So I'm starting with the sausage. I was actually going to brown it until I looked on the package and realized it was fully cooked. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop it up, get everything going, and you'll be with me every step of the way. Okay, I guess I ought to tell you how much is in everything in case you don't go to my blog. So I put 2.5 cups of chicken broth, low sodium, and then I use only two of the links and of the sausage because I'm going to have shrimp. If I did just sausage, it would be more links, of course. Now I'm going to chop up the garlic. I'm just going to use one great big huge clove and then a smaller one and chop it up. I'm getting that out of the way because I really hate all these little, see how it sticks to you and then you can't ever get rid of it. Now where did that go? Okay, on the onions, the green onions, I use 2 small bunches, and there's with the garlic in there, and now I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Cutting up 1 full onion. Okay, and here is the onions all cut up, ready to go in. I've had a little bit of a cry because they're really strong. You know, that's good for the soul, apparently. Anyway, next up will be the pepper. Okay, as I said, the bell pepper's up, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean out all of the seeds and everything and then chop it up. Okay, this is ready to go, and as I did with the onion, I did a full bell pepper. So now we're on to the celery. Looking good, if a little green, but it's looking good. We're going to do the celery, and no, I'm not going to do a whole thing, you know, this, whatever it's called. I'm going to probably do 2 stalks because it's usually about ½ cup or so, thinly sliced. And there we go, just a little bit. And there's not too much. I was tempted to put another stalk, but I think that this will be good. Calls for olive oil, and I use Mountain Town olive oil, and this is an Italian olive oil that is really pure and young, which is supposed to be the best. Go with I spilled it everywhere, 2 tablespoons, and that didn't go over well. I spilled half of it, but anyway, now we're going to go on with our seasonings, and I will tell you as I go how much they are. It's easy to get mixed up because some of these call for a tablespoon and some call for a half a tablespoon. As far as I'm actually got 4 different, like I usually do. I combine, make them my own, and sometimes I just make them up as I go. This one, I've looked at a couple of different recipes, to get an idea of what I want to do. So I've actually put in ½ a tablespoon of paprika, and I'm going to put in about ½ a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm going to put in a couple of tablespoons of Creole seasoning. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of parsley. I'm going to put in ½ a teaspoon of white pepper, probably a teaspoon of salt. This is my Jimmy Buffett salt. And probably a ½ teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm going to mix them all up. A lot of recipes call for onion powder and celery powder and garlic powder, and I just am not a big fan of the powders because it adds more salt. so I'm not going to add those. I am thinking about, as I'm putting this together, I am thinking about adding a jalapeno, because of course we like jalapenos. I know I've never seen a recipe that calls for it with etouffee, but I may make mine with a jalapeno. Okay, so this is all of the spices put together, so quite a bit, so it's gonna taste really flavorful. I'm gonna go ahead and I already did actually, so I'm not gonna go ahead. I put in a half a teaspoon of medium chili powder. It's looking a little bit more spicy and not quite so green. Well, it's still pretty green. I'm going to take the little tails off of these, and I'm going to put them away, because I'm not going to put these in to cook until I'm doing the rice, so that they don't overcook. Okay, I have all of the tails off, and I got about a half a pound to put in there. Now I would have probably put a pound in, or even more, if I hadn't had the sausage. And I know a lot of people out there leave the tails on, but I think there's nothing worse than having a hot meal and having to dig through it to take the damn tails off. Now, that's just me. I'm going to put in 1.5 jalapenos, and then the last thing before I put it on to simmer for about an hour, cook for an hour, will be flour to thicken it up. It's already added. I forgot to show you guys what chopped jalapenos look like. I'm sure you know. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to scrub my hands before I rub my eyes. I am going to put about a half a cup of chicken broth in the measuring cup, and about just probably about 1/4 of a cup of flour to thicken it up. Because we don't want a lot of lumps, what I've done is I've taken some of the juice out of there too and mix it in here, and then I'm going to pour it in. And I'm stirring as I'm pouring it in a little at a time. Whoa! Kind of fogged that up, didn't it? Alright, so now it's going to simmer on low for about an hour. Now I'm keeping this out in case I need to thicken it up a little. I don't think I will. It's looking pretty thick, but just in case. So I'll be back in an hour. All right, it is looking good and it's thick, so I'm probably not going to put any more flour in it. So now what I'm going to do is put the shrimp in. Well, no, I think I'll get the rice started, and once the rice is going, then I'll put the shrimp in and the bread in. Okay, it is ready for the shrimp, and it only takes about 3 or 4 minutes for the shrimp to cook, so we didn't want to have it in there too long. I've got the take and bake bread that I like to just, so it kind of feels like homemade bread's in the oven. We've got the rice just about ready, so it's almost ready. Now it's our anniversary, and because hot stuff goes really good with a sweeter wine, a white wine, we're going to have champagne with our etouffee. And the shrimp are done.